Hello. Thanks for coming back to Political Napalm. Today, we're going to go back to one of our lovely friends here, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, aka Jeff Philyaw, and that's how I refer to him for the rest of the video. I've had it in my back pocket to do a video discussing the crap that Jeff Philyaw likes to spew all the time over here. And I use crap as a definitive term because that is often the topic of his videos that he likes to do. He calls it crap cutters, which I believe is like culture, race, and politics, is I think what it stands for him. But he does this multicast where he has it on Facebook and it goes out on Twitch and a few other social media sites. And it is live. He has some engagement with the comments that come in at the time of the recording, and then pretty much does not really continue to engage in the comment section after the video is posted. Now, I only really take a look at his Facebook stuff. I occasionally wander over to when he links things over to Rumble and Telegram, but for the most part, going to those sites generally feels like slumming it. I kind of feel like I need a version of sunscreen that protects me from his crap when I go to those sites and everything, because let's just say Telegram and Rumble have a little bit of a reputation. So I've had it in my back pocket for some time, as I said, to do a video on a specific thing that Jeff likes to do rather consistently. And that is to twist the news into anti-intellectualism and race baiting. I have a number of examples from his history, very specifically more from 2022 than anything. However, he still does it here in 2023, and we're going to look at a instance where he's doing it today in May of 23. He's still doing this. He's still spewing falsitudes to his base because he knows it's going to rile them up, and by being riled up and enraged, it will keep them engaged. No rhyming intended there, but it keeps his base enraged and engaged and stuck within the sheep pen that he sets up for people. Now, you might be thinking, damn, Political Napalm, you're going on this guy a little bit hard here. What really is the deal? He has a history of taking news events and twisting them to the point where it's going to boil the blood of his base that doesn't use critical thinking. And I can understand if you were a fan of Jeffrey's and you're going to get insulted by that. Like, what do you mean don't use critical thinking? I'm not woke. I am using the critical thinking. I'm going to give you a die-hard, die-cast, set in stone example of what he does, and you're going to need to think to yourself, why is Jeff doing this? Why is he baiting me like this? Why is he attempting to play my emotions and thoughts like harp strings over here? I don't like to get played. What is this guy doing? And there's going to be other videos that give examples, and you're going to see this as a trend with him. This is not a one-off. I don't want to talk about the other ones quite yet because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I absolutely had to cover the fact that I caught him doing this today, and it's so plainly and blatantly obvious. And I'm not even going to tell you yet what are the two edges of the goal in this, okay? One of two things is the reality when Jeffrey does this. And I don't want to reveal it yet because it's going to need to be revealed in the bigger videos than just this one. But Jeff is guilty of one of two things, and there is no other option in this. And either option paints this man as a complete and utter race baiting, anti intellectual tool. Because he's done this when it comes to teachers and schools and scholastic things, and he also definitely likes to do this with race. When you look down in the comments of his videos and you see people saying that race baiting is a tool of the left and liberals, and it started under Obama and things like that, there is a part of that statement that I will agree with, and that is the PC nature of communicating definitely ramped up during the Obama administration. And I can admit and embrace the fact that I believe Trump was a rubber band to that. I believe Trumperism, Trumpers, Trumpists, however you want to put it out, them coming out of the woodworks and being openly racist and derogatory outside of the home instead of just simply inside in their own brain was a natural rubber banding reaction to how PC things got during Obama's 2 terms of the presidency. I think it certainly ramped up during him, and it flipped violently over to the other side once he was gone and Trump took over the presidency. And not even just Trump taking over the presidency, but his run up to securing the presidency, especially with things like the birtherism, his rebirth of believing the Central Park Five were in fact guilty, even though they were not. The dirty nature, the pill bugs and worms underneath the rotting log. That rotting log was definitely pulled up off the forest floor when Trump started running for president and started being very active in social media with the shit that he spewed. So to see down in comments of people blaming the racist divide and the racial divide on the left, when you have this example that you're about ready to see, to me just absolutely blows my mind. It's typical projection. It is typical blaming the other side of what you do and refuse to admit yourself. So let's get into it. Let's listen to Jeff talk about this event, and then you're going to find out the truth. And then you're going to need to decide, why did he do this? Let's go.
Going to run today that I dared not, simply because it would end up getting banned on Facebook and stuff, but I put it on Telegram. It's a video of a fellow by the name of Jason Hayden, black kid in Detroit, working at a nursing home, who filmed himself.
Okay. Key thing you need to pay attention to there. He said working at a nursing home in Detroit. Keep that in mind.
Beating on the head, neck, beating a 75-year-old Army veteran who was in a nursing home in 2020. And you can hear the veteran begging for mercy. And this kid's just grinning away, beating the hell out of him. Mr. Bledsoe, Norman Bledsoe was his name. He died a few weeks afterwards, but they dropped all the charges against this kid. For whatever reason in Detroit, they dropped the charges against this kid. The excuse was white supremacy, and this kid was not responsible for it. I put it there because I didn't want this banned across others.
Okay, now he's saying that the get out of jail free card was because of quote unquote white supremacy. 2 things. Working at a nursing home, released due to quote white supremacist reasons. Let's continue.
The social media channel. So if you want to see it there. I am surprised that 2 people on Telegram liked it. Most people, 27 people so far put vomited, 13 put the crap icon. 2 put the holy shit, beyond the pale icon. And 2 people liked it. I'm looking at it right now. And that just goes to show that, there's lurkers, liberals, retards lurking everywhere, just to show part of what goes on today is people just want to incite violence, stoke people, argue with people, whatever. And so they'll they'll lurk everywhere. And I look at those 2 and I think about what kind of people would like a video of this kid beating this man to death. And then I realize there are people out there that aren't serious, or people out there that are more angry that you don't see the way they do.
So he talks there about people stoking violence, being unserious, and he accuses the 2 likes of being leftist or liberal, and he actually uses the R word, which is generally out of the current vernacular. It is not in the meta of common outdoor conversations at this point. I grew up using that word quite consistently because it was just part of our speech at the time. I mean, things were R word, a person was R word if they were being dumb. It certainly was part of the conversational meta growing up. It was something I've removed from my language in recent years and generally don't mess that one up. Occasionally something really dumb will happen and it'll just about get there, but I generally catch myself at this point. It has become a very negative word to say out in public, and of course Jeff would be continuing to say that word. If you said that word on the job now, if a boss said that to a subordinate and said, look at this, why did you do this, this is our word, they would very much be in front of HR immediately, because it is a demeaning word. It is an old word that used to technically apply to people with impaired mental facilities, Down syndrome, what may have been referred to as short bus kids going back about 10, 15 years ago, or BOCES, or special education, things like that, depending on where you lived in the U.S., where your region was. But aside from him continuing to use that, I want you to pay attention that he accused the 2 people of hitting the like button as being lurkers, leftists, and liberals without mousing over it, finding out the names of the people, and finding out their history of their engagement on his Telegram. He does no research. They could have been accidental likes completely by mistake, and the person didn't even realize it. He doesn't know why they hit like, doesn't know the people who hit like, and doesn't research the history of the people who hit like. He just wants to use it as a political talking point and immediately blames the opposing side to him. I'll let this go a little bit longer because I don't really know if he has anything interesting to say on the topic after here, but let's find out.
And they just think this is a joke. Also, yesterday, I took a little time off yesterday, went shooting.
Okay, so it seems like he's done with the topic. So he tries to square his face up and seem really serious and pause for dramatic effect and everything, remembering the fact that Jeff is an actor. He's an actor. He was on his Net Talk show out of Dallas in the 90s and everything. And you would think, and keep this in mind for later videos, you would think somebody who was on a internet-based show, a show talking about interesting things of the internet and trying to invent that failed QCat device and everything, you would think of him as being a reasonable techie person, that he probably has some tech intelligence to him. Yet he never actually winds up displaying it, and it puts him in a corner when he's caught. So here's what we have to keep in mind over here. One, he said the man doing the beating was working in the nursing home. Two, the get out of jail free card was due to apparently like white supremacy or something. And three, goes off on a tangent about two people who liked the video on Telegram and does no research into the people. Now let's actually discuss the truth. So I looked up Bledsoe and Detroit the moment I heard him talk about this. And this is an event that happened in 2020. And an article with the video on it came out in 2022, almost exactly 1 year ago. You can see here it's published May 17th. So it's very contemporaneous, just a year old. Okay. And the dismissal came in late April of 2022. So the actual event is 3 years old. The legal part of this is a year old. Why is Jeff bringing this up? What does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with his archaeological magical Roman sword crap? And what does it have to do with proving that Quarry Lake, and yes, I say Quarry with the Q, not the K, why Quarry Lake is going to win, haha, no she won't, her case against Arizona, and why she's going to be installed as governor, haha, no she won't. This isn't political. Well, okay, Jeff believes it's political, but you're going to find out something really interesting over here. So this
was a horrific video of abuse. That's when...
Yeah, I'm not going to play that over there, but the faces are blurred out and everything. I don't hear the audio that he talked about because this broadcast plays over it. But there is the nursing home. There's the guy who was doing the beating, Jaden Hayden. And there is the guy, Norman Bledsoe, in the bed who is being beat. Now, Jaden actually recorded himself doing it. We don't know the reasoning why. If you were to actually see the video, a bunch of the punches are short jabs. And the look on his face is one of being very detached from where he is. He's not necessarily smiling and gleefully doing it the way Jeff portrayed it. He's lost. He's vacant is the best way to talk about it. It reminded me of how Professor Loomis talks about Michael Myers in the Halloween movies, where he says, there's nothing there. And in some points he says there's nothing there, it's just vacant. Other times he says it's raw, pure evil. But it reminds me of when Loomis says Michael Myers is just vacant, that it looks like there's no processing there. And some of the punches definitely have travel to them and look like they have force. Others just seem very short jabs, as if he's trying to work over a pillow to make it comfortable to sleep. It's a very, very odd amount of physicality in there. So Jaden Hayden was not released due to quote-unquote white supremacy. He was deemed incompetent to go to trial because he was autistic and suffers from schizophrenia. Now, go back and listen to what Jovan said, and listen to how he blames this on a black and white crime. And the release, he implies that he was let go because he was black against white supremacy in Detroit, and realized the truth, in fact, was that he was schizophrenic. That's one of the 2 points that's really, really big in shutting down the baiting that Jeff told you on his broadcast today. His father was interviewed and said, thinking that my son could go to prison for many years, it put pressure on me. But once the case was dismissed, it really lifted a lot of burdens off my shoulders. Yeah, Dad, I'm sure it does. But what he did was extremely wrong. How about commenting on that? But moving on. The case was dismissed in late April of 22 after the 22-year-old was deemed incompetent to stand trial. Bledsoe died in another nursing home 2 months after the attack. His autopsy says the death was not ruled as a homicide, but Bledsoe's family said he was never the same after the assault. Jeff twisted that one too. He said a few weeks, and then later at one point in his cast, he said beat the man to death. Did he cause physical problems to Bledsoe? Perhaps permanent damage, being of that advanced of an age? Yes, but the autopsy is not revealing that. And it wasn't a couple weeks, it was 2 months. And he was not beaten to death at that event. Hayden says his son suffers from schizophrenia, was living in a group home prior to the beating in May of 2020. He added that Jaden was moved from a group home where he was to a local hospital to receive mental health treatment. Once they found out he got COVID, they were more interested in trying to quarantine him somewhere. So they put him in a building where all the quarantines were occurring back then, which was nursing homes. So somebody made a terrible, awful mistake to put a 22-year-old man with impaired mental facilities at the Westwood nursing home where he shared a room with Bledsoe. Now, look at what we're talking about here. The second problem with what Jeff told you to rile you up. He wasn't working in the nursing home. He was sent there by forces external to Hayden. He was placed there by a system who absolutely made an egregious mistake. They should never have put a 22-year-old in a nursing home. They should have never put a 22-year-old with schizophrenia in a nursing home around at-risk people. At-risk meaning possible physical and mental frailties. Also, the defendant is under the jurisdiction of the probate court. He will receive treatment and his progress is monitored. Should the defendant ever regain competence, he can be recharged. So, there you go. He isn't getting out of jail free. He could be recharged if he ever is determined to be competent enough to stand trial. Because what he did, schizophrenia or not, is still assault. Possibly, similar to Neely in New York City, maybe even manslaughter, depending on what was revealed as the cause of his death 2 months after the event. And that is up to a coroner and pathology. So, compare all of this to what Jeff right here told you on his broadcast. He told you he was working there. He told you the man was kicked out of trial because of, quote, white supremacy. He also says he died a couple weeks later. Also says he was beaten to death in this event. Also says he gleefully did it. And he makes mention of the audio, which I'll have to give him because I'm not actually going to listen to the audio. This broadcast here, which will be linked down in the description, talks over it, and it's a good thing that you don't hear it. I would caution that this beating is definitely disturbing, but it may be worth a quick perusal to make up your own mind whether this person gleefully did it or not. So, you need to ask yourself, why is Jeffrey talking about a 3-year-old event that was resolved a year ago? Why did he lie and tell you several non-factual pieces of information that all you needed to do was go, look, this is all that I did. Bledsoe, Detroit. That's all that I did to discover what happened in this particular case. Because I know Jeff does this consistently, I immediately Googled it to see what he was talking about. And this is a Fox affiliate. This isn't some leftist liberal rag trying to spin it or trying to protect a black man out of Detroit from what he rightfully should be charged with. No. Jeff just simply lied. And he does this constantly. And I'm going to be showing you other clear-cut black and white examples of him doing this. This is just the first. And I'm so glad he did this today. And I don't have to go back to his 2022 and 21 posts on Facebook, which I have, and I'm going to be bringing receipts. You should know that he's doing this today. And you need to ask yourself, why is Jeff doing this to me? If you're a fan of Jeff Philyaw, why is he lying to me like this? Why is he spewing this crap that I could easily Google and easily find out just how much he's lying? This isn't a slight twist. This isn't saying a half full glass is half empty and you're both right. It's just a different perspective. This is not a perspective thing. This is a factual thing. Jeff lied to you. And you need to ask yourself, why would I want to continue following somebody who attempts to stoke racial disharmony in my brain and making me think, wow, this is a terrible black people, terrible Detroit, slummy Detroit, and leftist courts and liberals and crazy demonic liberals are liking this beating and blah, 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 blah. Go to his Telegram. Go find this video. Go see if you can. I don't go to Telegram, so I don't know if you can do this. So I can move over. See here, I can see who liked it. I can see who loved it. And you can generally search these names in a group and find out what their history is. You know, for example, Sally. I know Sally's name is a common poster over here on Jeff's page. If she accidentally misclicked an emoji, I would know that that is very much a misclick. Sally is definitely pro-Jeff. It was probably a misclick. Why isn't Jeff smart enough to do that? Or is he? He just doesn't want to discuss the actual people who clicked it. He just wants to use it to just stare at the camera really deeply and take dramatic pauses and blame the left for something that he doesn't actually know who clicked the like and what they are, what they're about. Are they left? Are they center? Are they right? Are they maggot? Are they far left crazy? Are they far right radicals? He knows nothing about the people. Well, he might actually, but he's not going to tell you because he just wants to sit there and stare at the camera with his beady eyes and take a dramatic pause and go, ah. Some people are just crazy. They just want to be unserious and stoke arguments and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, well, you're caught, Jeff, again. And you're going to see on this channel just how much Jeff actually does this. So stay tuned, but think about what we've discussed here today and think about why is Jeff actually doing this crap. See you guys in the next video.